Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one lined up for you today. We're going to talk about Citigroup and Bitcoin futures, BIS, and tokenizing bonds. We got updates on the U.S. infrastructure bill and when they're going to vote on it and what's still wrong with it. We're going to hear from Ron Hammond, Jake Travinsky, both, I believe, from the Blockchain Association, as well as Coinbase VP of Tax tells us what he believes needs to happen to correct the bill. We're also going to hear an update on the SEC versus Ripple. Remember, there's a new telephonic hearing conference August 31st, just in a few days here. We're also going to get a price prediction from somebody from XRP and where it may be, $35. And we're also going to hear XRP price analysis about where we are right now and what we need to pay attention to. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here. It's $2.027 trillion for the cryptocurrency market cap. We're off just shy of 5% today. So I do want to say that I saw from yesterday or last evening, I think we are down pretty close between 20 and $25 billion is where the market's off here, but it's saying we're off 5% overall at this point. Bitcoin now pulling back even further from the 50,000 mark and looking at 47,000 plus, and Ethereum at 3,100 plus, Cardano from the 288 down to 266, and XRP now down from 130 to 114. We will get into a price analysis about what we need to look at and see where XRP may test that back support line on certain price targets. So we'll get into that. Let's look at the range really quickly this morning. We see we're at 114 this morning. The low range of XRP prices at 111, the upper range at 124. Let's get into the news here. Hall of Famer Michael says Citigroup is gearing up to trade CME Bitcoin futures. Now, I tell you, we just reported, and we've reported for a while now, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, right? Citigroup, PNC's partnered with Coinbase. Coinbase is partnered with Fidelity, right? Regardless of the lack of clarity, whether it's a decided lack of clarity from market regulators like the SEC, or whether it's a lack of clarity from the lack of due diligence to do their job and dereliction of duty in Congress, we know that the largest players of the financial world are still gearing up to offer crypto to someone or for theirself. Here's Kenwood Capital, who's quickly become a Hall of Famer here on the channel here. BIS in Hong Kong will tokenize green bonds, and they're looking to open up the market and get everybody comfortable with this. They talked in this article really about the idea that they would allow more institutions to be able to get into this market and basically give you this right here, the provisions here. Under so-called Project Genesis, they will build a prototype digital infrastructure which will enable sustainable investments which improve transparency on how proceeds are used, the BIS said. Tokenizing the bonds through blockchain technology will allow investors to buy small denominations of the assets, which the institutions hope will boost investment. Investors can also track environmental output in real time, the statement said. The ultimate goal is to help companies meet global and regional environmental standards. Swiss firm Digital Asset and their Hong Kong partner GFT Technologies Hong Kong will deploy permission blockchains. The Liberty Consortium, which includes SC Ventures, Standard Chartered Bank, and Shareable Asset, will deploy permissionless blockchains. All Infra and Hong Kong startup will provide the data to track environmental impact project in real time. This is the first green financial project initiated by the BIS Innovation Hub, the statement said. As we know, the Federal Reserve is also a part of that Innovation Hub. Maybe not that particular project at this moment, but nevertheless, they are a part of the BIS Innovation Hub broadly. So, looking here, the Rock XRP says the call has not been made yet. Infrastructure bill set for a vote on September 27th. but we don't have any changes in the crypto tax provisions. And this leads us to this. Ron Hammond gives us an update. Ron Hammond, the original architect of the Token Taxonomy Act, former Ripple executive, and now at the Blockchain Association here, says the update on the infrastructure fight, crypto infrastructure fight. The general politics of the bill have muddied the waters as to what is the current political playing field as we as lobbyists have to operate with. Amendments still not likely. We are working actively behind the scenes as this develops, and this is all based on the tweet that was shared by Chad Pergram that says the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Housing Moving Budget Measure and all of the other things he was talking about there. But he addressed the crypto portion of this, but let's look at this because this really aligns with what I've been saying here from the channel. Taylor Locke has spoke to the Treasury official about the state of crypto tax reporting provisions. The department understands that the crypto advocates would prefer a change in writing, but assured that even if the provision isn't amended, non-brokers will not be targeted, they say. And Jake Travinsky says what we have been saying here on this channel, the Treasury, don't worry, we'll only target brokers. Americans ask, okay, who's a broker? Treasury answers, whoever we say. Americans, can we get that in writing? Treasury, nah. See, this is the problem, and Jake really nails it here because, we don't want any gimmies. Well, that's the problem we're having with the SEC picking winners and losers because they obviously turned a blind eye to the initial coin offering of Ethereum. If you think of it for a moment, had they called Ethereum to carpet for actually doing what they did, which was an initial coin offering, we would have nothing to say about the fact that they have Ripple in a complaint right now. That is really the truth, right? But the reality is we've seen such inconsistency of picking winners and losers and using enforcement for regulation, and that is not working, right? And obviously it is not working, and now we have the inconsistency of why are you targeting Ripple and XRP when you allowed a free pass for Ethereum? Okay, let's take a look here because, in all of this, we know what the problem is. And we know what the problem is ad nauseum, right? Coinbase executive slams crypto provision in infrastructure bill and gives a list of suggestions for lawmakers, right? So now I know we've had the amendment get batted down in the Senate, but let's listen here because this is Coinbase Global Vice President of Tax, Lawrence Zlatkin. Let's go ahead and get to the part here I've got highlighted here. So Zlatkin agrees and further suggests that lawmakers could clearly redefine broker to include more practical entities who operate as middlemen for compensation between customers such as Coinbase. If Congress decides that it must create a new definition of broker within the infrastructure bill for digital assets, then it should define brokers as persons who act as middlemen for compensation, with customers as counterparties. This is a traditional definition of broker and would cover entities like Coinbase. Just in that statement, you understand how ridiculously silly all of this is. He just gave you the simple definition here. This is not complicated to get this solved. You have to wonder if they're stonewalling all of this for a reason. So, along with the redefining the term brokers, Zlatkin also thinks Congress should propose regulations to define the parameters of crypto tax information reporting and holding hearings in Congress on crypto tax oversight. He stresses that Congress should not be drafting legislation on problems that don't actually exist. If we focus our laws on problems that don't actually exist, we will erode America's leadership in crypto. Why chill the industry in its infancy and send it and the taxes associated with it offshore? And I love that little last part there, and the taxes associated with it, because that's the verbiage that speaks to Congress. Remember, the reason they tucked crypto into the U.S. infrastructure bill was because there was $28 billion revenue generation for tax collection cited in that adding of crypto into that bill. It's all about the money, right? Not just for Ripple, but for Congress too. Well, now let's switch gears and take a look here at what's going on with the SEC versus Ripple. There's been a lot happen in the last day or so. There is a telephonic conference that's scheduled for August 31st, 12 p.m. Eastern time, but we don't have the number to call into just yet, but we will, and we'll get it to you when it does, but write that date down. Here it says, don't fall for the FUD, buying time for a settlement here. The parties are seeking further to extend the discovery deadline in order to depose Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson in September. Now, listen. This just kicking the can even further. James K. Filan, who's been amazing in this space, helping to keep us all informed, and shout out to James. Garlinghouse and Larson's motions to dismiss are pending before the court. The parties are still conducting fact discovery. 2 motions to compel are pending before Magistrate Judge Netburn, and the parties are requesting leave to conduct 2 depositions in September. The motion to strike and the motion to intervene are still pending, and the expert discovery deadline will be extended to November 12th, 2021. In my experience, anyone who thinks this case is settling anytime soon should reconsider. I know when we first originally looked at the timeline of all of this, I have to say, we had a projection of first quarter 2022. I would keep my eyes focused on that, and anything that happens that's positive as far as a way of a judgment or settlement would just be icing on the cake if we get it any sooner. But I see, as these things go, it always seems like however it goes, everything goes to the 11th hour, whether we're talking about a court case or whether we're talking about Congress and legislation. The 11th hour is usually where it all happens. Everything moves very slow until it moves very fast. I think it applies for Congress or courts as just as much as it did for Congress. So this is a reminder from 2018 from Hall of Famer James Rule XRP here. And it says the potential Federal Reserve actions support interbank settlement or faster payments from 2018. This goes to show you, and it speaks to how long the Federal Reserve and everyone else around here who acts like they don't have a clue about what to do about crypto or stable coins or CBDCs, they've known for years what's going on. They're well aware of the ability, the functionality of Ripple's protocols and XRP, the native token, and XRP Ledger, the decentralized exchange, right? Let's not even kid ourselves. And this is a reminder on this day for all of us, I should say, to know that, this is the things they've been working on for years. That Ripple submitted this to the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Task Force and Federal Reserve about the faster payments and what they could bring to the table to help develop the 24/367 RTGS settlement services for faster settlements and payments, develop liquidity management tool to support the RTGS. Here you see right here, real-time payment by payment, interbank messaging and settlement in Federal Reserve accounts. And this is them just saying, look, this is what we can do. We can meet all these things you're looking for. Full payment information, clearing and settlement, carried in payment messaging, available to depository institutions eligible to hold Federal Reserve account. Agents could submit payments on behalf of depository institutions, access through Reserve Bank channels, Fedline, end of day balances recorded for each day of the week. You see all the things. Real-time payment by payment, interbank messaging and settlement. And that, really makes me remind everybody that 2 years later, just last year, the World Economic Forum backed up the fact that no one has changed the idea of what Ripple and XRP's role could be in that interbank payments and settlement, citing examples of JPM Coin and XRP from the World Economic Forum just last year. So 2018, 2020. No one's changed their mind about the role that XRP could solve and play, right? And guess what? That same year, 2020 in July, we saw the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, which, by the way, is a financial enforcement agency. This is the agency, by the way, that says, oh, Bank A or Bank B or Payment Company A or Payment B just did some nefarious stuff, and we're the guys who come get you and take your ass to court for it. Well, what they made effective in July 2020 is this, is the recognition that SWIFT's GPI and also Ripple, and also the virtual currency, they say, XRP, which can be used to affect settlement of the transfers, the cross-border transfers from banks and credit unions alike. And for the first time in the history of cross-border transactions, this is the acknowledgement that these particular solutions here, which were made effective in this amending of this document in this agency, that for the first time in history in a cross-border payment, you'd have transparency on what the payment would cost and the path of the payment. And it would cut out a lot of the intermediaries in the path of payment. So this is what a reminder should be on a day like today. And we listen to this because there's a lot of people out here like BitBoy and other technical analysts that are talking about serious price pump and a rally coming for XRP. And maybe some of that is based on fundamental news of a settlement at some point. Maybe some of that is the legislation we need, which should be a light touch to allow innovation to thrive and grow, right? And prove itself out. And I believe XRP certainly will. But listen to what he says here.
Getting at here, again, my targets for XRP, as I've said many times, stand at $20 to $30 at the end of this bull cycle, whether it be 6 months or a year from now. So we definitely disagree with him on the timeline there. But I do, and I have said 20 to, I think I said $35 is the high point here. I think, but credible.
Now that's Credible Crypto, who is phenomenal and has an enormous following for his price analysis and things of that nature. We covered this yesterday with the expected, could surge 2,300%, reaching that $20 to $30 mark. Listen, I have no problem with any of this, but in order to get there, we need to get a little more boots on the ground here and understand where we are today. And we're going to do that right now with CoinSkid. If you're not following him, you should. And shout out to him for crossing 200K subscribers. And we're right behind you, my friend. And let's go ahead and listen to what he says here.
I mean, at the minute, it's having a correction as anticipated. We are coming back down to a key level support. We did fail to break that high. And like I said to you, if you fail to break that high, you're looking at coming back to get your mates to just have a go at breaking that high and smashing its face in. But basically, right now, XRP is forming this beautiful cup and handle pattern that we've anticipated, isn't it? On the daily, we take a look at it right now. Look, we're rolling back, creating a beautiful little handle right there, coming back to a key level support, looking for continuation, basically. So, I want to reassure you that this is part of this Elliott wave structure and theory that we've got going on as well. And we do anticipate this is wave 1, as we've outlined in a previous video. And right now you're going through the wave 2 pullback, the ABC correction, which can be obviously quite complex, and with that, as long as we come back down and adhere to structural support, we're looking great for continuation, so it's all good. It's all good, basically. It's going to offer a better opportunity going forward, in my opinion. But again, not financial advice. And providing we can remain bullish, obviously inversely correlated with the DXY, which we'll keep an eye on every day for you. The DXY is actually falling, look. So, at the minute, DXY is falling and crypto's falling. This is actually...
And the DXY, really quickly, is the dollar index strength or weakness, and that's what he's talking about here, how you've seen that actually bounce off there and lose a little strength, which is usually correlated to the crypto. When the dollar is weak, crypto is strong, and obviously vice versa.
Good for crypto, believe it or not, because we're carrying out corrections on crypto. So like I said to you, I do anticipate we're having a pullback, looking at this chart here, okay, we're having a pullback which is very much needed, to be honest with you, because again, you're coming back down to 20. Look where the 20 is now on the daily. It's coming up to the 109. You could have a double bottom retest just there, but again, if you lose this support, I've given you a breakdown target at 91 cents, which would be where the 55 is on the daily. Okay, so I mean, if we did have a whopping correction here leading in September, this would be a further depreciation of around about 20% for XRP, and I think that would be a bit of a shakeout, an ABC correction as anticipated, this Elliott wave theory right here, because I do think at that point, coupled with the fact that the DXY is falling as well and potentially falling out of that rising wedge, this could be a fantastic play, and we could be looking at a beautiful third impulsive wave up to our Fibonacci target here of the 1618 at $4.50, where I would expect a pullback and a continuation up here, to our upper targets that we've got in the channel. So yeah, I mean, it's doing everything it needs to. I know it's horrible, I know it's ugly, but it is doing everything it needs to. I mean, like
And that is comforting to know. And he even shows the relative strength index and everything down here that shows that everything is sitting up. You can see we had the high up here, which was really like overbought looking. And now it's come all the way back down here. It may be turning around here. We even see, look at this right here. I mean, now that is really incredible. When you're down here, not financial advice, but that's a spot I'd be buying, right? You know, no doubt about it. But look, I mean, all of these things are not financial advice from me or CoinsKid or anyone else. But the reality is that the market does breathe, right? And I think that's one of the greatest things that CoinsKid is able to do, is to show us, is like, look, if we see this thing pull back to 109, that's great. That could be our bottom. But it could also retrace a little deeper to 91 cents, maybe even upper 80-cent range. And if it does that, then that means we could get more of a slingshot back to the upside, according to the Elliott wave theory. Remember, all of this stuff is theory-based and not predictions. Now, BitBoy's making a prediction. That's his personal prediction. That's his personal call. And he's been in this space a long time. So I like to share that with you guys so you understand what he's thinking about where we are currently right now as well. But this, to me, is really exciting to see this, because I can look at this information and say, hey, now if we break down below 80-some cents at some place, I start getting a little worried and say, well, what's going on now, and what kind of formation do we have going forward? But until we do that, all of the upper price range targets that we've been looking for, new all-time highs, $8, $13, $27, that range is all still on the table, and that's what's exciting to me. That's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, I Trust Capital, it's the best crypto, gold, silver IRA. You know what the only thing better than buying crypto, gold, and silver is? Buying it tax-free. That's why I tell you about the IRA. Make sure you check out all the links in the description box. Matter of fact, also check out Ledger Nano if you want to do cold storage as well, and all the other products and services I use each and every day. They are trusted, vetted links that I use, and I will catch you on the next one.